I have lots and lots of ideas, and I know which ones I should follow through on because they're the ones I keep talking about. Like if I know that I keep telling people, like I have this game show idea and I'm like, have I told you about Escape the Date?
I am thrilled to be talking with Ashley Albert, founder, public speaker, and idea man. Ashley Albert is grateful that being a polymath requires no math. As co-founder of the Matzo Project, she's the creative voice behind the artisanal cracker brand, which can be found in the fanciest restaurants, hotels, and specialty stores around the world. As the founder of the Royal Palms Shuffleboard Club in Brooklyn and Chicago, she's introduced hundreds of thousands of people to the majestic century-old game. And she was ranked 10th best female player in the world. As a 25-year veteran of the New York City voiceover industry, you have probably heard her on countless commercials, video games, and cartoons for clients like McDonald's, Nutella, Coca-Cola, and Nickelodeon. As the lead singer, songwriter, and producer of the kindie rock band The Jimmies, she's performed for throngs of screaming first graders at festivals like Lollapalooza and Austin City Limits. Known in the Bay Area, where friends call her Bertie, she spends her free time buying domain names, taking too many pictures of her dog, dreaming up badge ideas for her new adult scouting project, and threatening to confiscate her teenager's phone on the hour. Bertie, welcome to the show.
Wow, that is quite a bio. It's quite something. I feel like when I sit at in an airport or an airplane and I talk to someone about what I do, I start listing things and they either think I'm making stuff up or they're like, wow, this girl's really trying to make ends meet. She's just doing too much, just doing too many things.
You are, in fact, the ampersand of ampersands.
Yeah, I feel like I could be on the poster.
So from voiceover acting to artisanal crackers to shuffleboard clubs and so much more, you share your gifts with the world in so many ways. If we were to rewind to your 10-year-old self, what have you always been into, and how did that evolve into the grown-up you?
Well, I think when I was young, I was already hustling for sure. I was actually just telling the story the other day that I used to sell like my special Ritz crackers out of my bedroom window for $0.25 to like all the kids in the neighborhood. And they would line up for these special Ritz crackers that were actually just Ritz crackers that I would heat up in my Easy Bake oven. Like they were literally light bulb warmed Ritz crackers that I would dole out like golden coins of deliciousness to the people. So maybe I was always a marketing genius because the people were like, oh, she's making her crackers today. It was like a thing. And then I think in junior high I was like selling cinnamon oil toothpicks. And so I always had some sort of business going on or some sort of invention. I'm pretty sure that I invented Amazon. Maybe the internet, because I used to dream when I was a kid, I would watch TV and I would pretend that there was a little door in my wall where I could just have the product immediately that was on the screen. I'd be like, oh, wouldn't it be good if I could just boopy boop? I'm going to take this chocolate bar out of my wall. So I don't know what I invented. Maybe it was the internet, maybe it was Amazon, but I mean, you're welcome, world.
There are so many ties. Yeah, marketing and branding for sure. Entrepreneurship and creativity and getting people into things. That's a great segue to the world of shuffleboard.
Yeah.
So you stumbled upon shuffleboard kind of by accident, went into the business of owning 2 shuffleboard clubs, and you were ranked the 10th best female shuffleboard player in the world. I could ask how this happened, but I'm actually more interested in what qualities in you did you really lean on to make this happen?
That's a good question. I think one of my superpowers, aside from telling if someone's gotten their hair cut, which is like my top superpower, the other superpower I have is that when I have an idea, or if somebody tells me about their idea, I can really see it all the way through to its manifestation. I could sort of see easily how those steps are taken to get the idea to become a thing. And so it doesn't feel maybe not as intimidating to me as I think to some people, because I go, oh yeah, so yeah, all you do, you get a space, you do the thing, blah, 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 you make a club. So and I also, I think it's hubris. I think most of it's hubris and suffering from an I can do that syndrome where I'm like, yeah, how hard could it be? You start a matzo company. And I also, I have lots and lots of ideas and I know which ones I should follow through on because they're the ones I keep talking about. Like if I know that I keep telling people, like I have this game show idea and I'm like, have I told you about Escape the Date? I know that this is something I should continue to follow through on because I'm excited about it. If I don't, even if it's a great idea, if I am just not thinking about it, then it's not worth following through on for me. But this was one where I was like, oh, this would be so good.
Tell us about Escape the Date, because I think our listeners want to say we were there when.
Yeah.
So please tell us about the idea you can't let go of right now.
Okay. So the tagline is, will they find a mate or escape the date? And it is an escape room dating show. So, it's a blind date. They start out on opposite sides of a wall with a timer that has a pot like that's draining by the second. And they're trying to figure out these clues together, working together, only talking through their headsets. They haven't seen each other yet. When they finally, the wall slides open and reveals the two of them, they're either already feeling bonded and excited to see each other and to have this sort of false sense of intimacy, like they've achieved something, or they're already irritated with each other. Like, did I not say a purple button? That's a pink button. That's purple. Right. And every minute that they're squabbling or not getting it right, they're losing money from their pot. And so then it goes to the next gauntlet, which is a little bit more of a physical, moral challenge. Something like one person has to get a light electric shock while they hold hands. And then the other person has to light up a light bulb or something. So arguing about who's doing what. And then they get separated again for the final room and they have to make a decision whether they're going to work together to get out and get the big prize and the dream date, or work against each other and only one person gets out and only one person gets the prize.
This characterizes so many of your projects. You started the Matzo Project with a lifelong friend, and on your webpage you say, quote, "What started out as a good idea accidentally became a great cracker." And in a way, there's a through line, like great idea has legs, but also, you're selling food, working with distribution partners, running social media campaigns. Pretty different from voiceover acting and shuffleboard world. What has been surprising? What has been rewarding about the Matzo Project?
Well, the Matzo Project's a really interesting one because it is a great cracker, but for so many people, it means so much more to them. Like there's something about the brand that resonates with people in a way that's so much more meaningful than just a cracker. Similar with the Royal Palms, it's a shuffleboard club, but people write me the most gorgeous letters telling me that I've completely changed their lives forever, and fundamentally changed how they live because they're going, we have leagues. And so they've made friends and they have a place to go and they have a skill that I was the last person picked in PE always. And I am an internationally ranked shuffleboard player. And it is considered a sport, by the way, not a game. It is but technically a sport, which no one would have ever guessed. I definitely did not win the most athletic superlative in high school. I did win a superlative and I don't remember what it was. I got to find out. I don't know who would know. Somebody probably still has a yearbook. I remember what I wore to the photo shoot for it. But
I have some guesses.
I do too, but I have no idea what it was. I gotta find out. Anyway, not most athletic, 100%. I can tell you right now, it wasn't that. So yeah, I think that we get with the Matzo Project people saying I haven't had matzo ball soup since my grandmother died, and yesterday was the day of anniversary of her death, and I found your soup, and it made me feel like she was letting me know she's still with me. It's like, oh my gosh,
Oh,
this is soup. You know,
yeah.
so yeah, it's really a deeper project than I anticipated it being, for sure.
Wow. And I'm seeing community as a through line too, right? This
Yeah.
is bringing people together, having people be obsessed with the thing, right? Like they
Mm-hmm.
found their place, they found their soup, they've found the thing that
Yeah.
makes them feel like them. Let's talk a little bit about the Jimmies. So you put that it's a kindie band, which I'm deducing as kid indie rock band. Yeah.
That's a technical term.
Yes, great. And you also started this by accident. So another
Yeah.
another theme here of starting this by accident.
Yeah.
You've performed at these huge events. You also mentioned that your proudest moment as a musician is when you found out that a second grade class sang one of your songs for their recital. That's very
Yeah.
touching. And again, goes back to community. Um, what do you think helped make the Jimmies go from the idea phase, just, a great idea, into a pretty big reality?
Well, the Jimmies was not an idea that I manifested. The idea was thrust upon me. So I, many years ago, started this group called Eggs, and it stood for Every Goal Gets Served. And I feel like they have things like this now, but they did not have this this many years ago. This was like in maybe 2006 or 2007. And my plan was I was going to get some of my friends together at a diner and we would eat eggs. That was a little on the nose. And we would discuss, everybody would come up with a goal, and we would be like a support group for goals. So,
Mm,
and my goal was just to pick a goal. I was very happily doing voiceovers, but I knew that I was capable of more than just doing voiceovers. And I didn't know what else I wanted to do. And I have
mm,
ADHD. So a lot of times those ideas that I have, it's like, I'm going to make sweater clips, and then you buy all the stuff and then you never make a single sweater
mm.
clip. But I did have all that in a bag of clips, which was a good idea. But so one of my ideas when we were just brainstorming on the very first Eggs meeting was to make a children's album. But
Mhm.
I meant make a spoken word album. I had all these like sort of
Ah,
Shel Silversteiny poems that I had
yeah.
always written, and I had access to all of the best voiceover talent in New York, and I
Hmm.
could do all kinds of voices, and that just made sense to me. And one of the people in Eggs was I was the voice of Nickelodeon for a long time, and
Hmm.
she was one of my producers. Actually, she was casting director, and she went back to the office, and they were looking for a kids band for something a few days later, and she said, "Oh, Ashley Albert has a kids band," and they were like, "Our voiceover girl?" And she was like, "Yep." And then she called me from her office, and she was like, "Holy shit, I don't know why I said it, but Eggs in effect. You're on, kid." And like, how so could you put a band together? And I was like, what? What? Uh, I didn't consider myself a singer. I did not know that I could write music. In fact, I have a story about not considering myself a songwriter, because that's another story for another time. But I really didn't think that I could do that. But the audition was in 3 days. And
Mm.
so I quick wrote 3 songs, and I got my best friend to sing backup and some dude to play guitar. And we came up with the name The Jimmies in the elevator on the way to the audition. And we sang our songs, and they said, "This is great. What else have you got?" And we were like, mostly this. And they were like, "Where else do you play?" And we were like, "Here is the place mostly where we play." And they were like, "Okay, you're not ready for what we need you for, but pull your act together and we'll get you on next season."
I'm having a party for all of my friends, but nothing fancy to drink. We won't have biscuits, or tea or milk, just the finest water from the sink. Won't you come to a tea party in the sun? Won't you come to a tea party in the
So my best friend was out. The dude with the guitar was out. My dad is a record producer and he has a recording studio in Miami. So I quick wrote 10 more songs and I flew down to Miami and I made the album with my dad in his studio. And I came back up and I cast the band like on Craigslist, and I had the band and I had the album, and then the show got canceled. But I had a band and I had an album. So I was like, all right. And so that's how the Jimmies became the Jimmies. It just was an accident. And now we have, music videos and Christmas albums. And
Wow.
yeah.
Okay. So I'm kind of putting this together of the steps that you took, which really was a lot of go before you're ready. Something was promised. You had to get your act together and put it together. And then it was fun. And then putting your songs out in the world got them discovered by, random serendipity.
Yeah. And I will say that even to this day, the Jimmies feels to me like my most self-expressed. Like when I hear the songs, they make me laugh still, even though I know all the jokes.
Yeah.
And I'm incredibly proud of it. And that's something that I have found with all of the projects that I have done, where I have to feel proud of it or I'm not going to be able to tell people about it. But when I would tell people about the Jimmies, it wasn't like, oh, hey man, check out my band. It was like, here you go. Like if I had someone with kids, I'd be like, here's some music videos for you.
Yeah.
You can thank me later. And so I really am very, very proud of the music videos and of the songs themselves, and even of like working with my dad, which was really transformative for our relationship to get to do that together. But yeah, I think almost everything, all of the successes I have had in my life have been like I Love Lucy level capers that I just said yes to and then had to make good on.
Let's take a moment to reflect on this question. When have you said yes to an opportunity before you were ready? Are you an ampersand looking for community, inspiration, and resources? Come join us in The Cohort, where we help you grow and scale your creative and professional aspirations. If you're looking for more dedicated support, I offer executive coaching for business leaders, people managers, creatives, and of course, ampersands. Find out more about The Cohort and one-on-one coaching at jessicawan.com. Now, back to the show. Let's talk about voiceover acting. So you were known as the voice of Nickelodeon, so much so that you once told me there's something in the industry called the Ashley Albert voice. What was it like to be in the heyday of voiceover acting and at the top of the game?
That was really serendipitous luck. I moved to New York when I was 19 to do voiceovers. That was the reason I came to New York. And I just had very good luck. I was young enough and dumb enough that I had I'd never been to New York before. I didn't know anybody before I moved there. And I just took a list of names and called everybody like, hi, I'm Ashley and I just moved to New York. Blah, blah, blah. And I went to a party and I wish I could remember whose party it was, but I met an agent there and started getting sent out. And it's probably the thing that I do the best. And I always say to people, I don't have a particularly mellifluous voice, but I'm a very good out loud reader. And I was like the kid at school who, when everybody, have to go around and read like a paragraph out of like the science chapter, and then they'd send it to me like, all right, and Ashley, you just bring it on home. And I'd finish out the chapter if we didn't get to the end. I always was a very good sort of cold reader. And I think that is the unsung skill of voiceovers, is really just being able to, without reading it ahead of time, be able to read something with expression. And it was a wonderful, super fun job to have. It paid really well. It was really fun. There was a ton of community there. It was just, you'd see the same people. It was like being in a perpetual waiting room in a doctor's office. Like every day, you just go from waiting room to waiting room. And yeah, it was great fun.
So we've talked about your projects, your work, your job. How do you think about these words even? Project, work, job, career. Are they all the same thing? Are they slightly different?
I mean, to me, like job and work and career sound very grown up, and I think I am not. I did hear once someone say something like, a career is a job that goes on too long. And I thought, oh yeah, that makes perfect sense. And so I never want that. I don't think of myself as any one thing, and I think that has served me well. I didn't figure out that I had ADHD until I was almost in my 50s, like my late 40s. And I think that it was serving me well without me realizing it, and also, hurting. I think now I understand much better that when I come up with an idea, I can celebrate being the person who comes up with the idea and not also have to be the person who executes the idea. And that has made everything much more possible. I think in the past, if I had a great idea and I was trying to do it all myself, it was never going to get all that far. Whereas now I feel like I don't limit myself. I believe in the things that I'm good at. I feel actually quite confident in the things that I'm good at, which helps because then you can be unafraid to, explore and play and do, because I'm like, oh, I'm good at this. The things that I'm not good at, I'm not. Someone asked me the other day, or I think I read somewhere, it was something about why like people with ADHD, they seem like they're really good at a lot of things. Like everything they try, they're really good at. And it's not that we're really good at stuff. It's that the minute we figure out very quickly that we're bad at something, we give up on it and move on to the next thing. So we've just tried a lot more things and we know what we're not good at. We skip right over those and just go to the good stuff. I'm trying harder to do more things that I'm not good at now than I used to before, for sure.
Oh, that sounds wildly efficient. And it sounds like you've learned how to work with your own brain, which is wonderful. I mean, I also wonder, oh my goodness, I wonder what Ashley's backlog of ideas looks like because let's be real, you have been successful at many of these ideas and some things that seem like there isn't much overlap, the Matzo Project and a kid rock band and shuffleboard clubs and voiceover acting. So, yeah. Well, I do want to look for some similarities, though. I wonder, when you think about some of the main projects or work streams that you've had in your life, what ties them together?
I mean, I think play, I think silliness and play and not taking anything too seriously has been a big part of it. I think, and I value play probably above all else, except maybe snacks.
Snacks are kind of play.
That's true. I do own the snackademic.com, that's serious snacking. But I think, I think that's probably in all of the things. It's really, the Jimmies are very much celebrating sort of quirkiness and play and not taking things too seriously, or very seriously, not, very serious in their silliness.
Yeah. Yeah. On a practical level, how do you think about your work across many worlds in terms of your own time and energy?
Yeah. Again, I feel like as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at delegating, at trusting. I'm also, sort of a recovering perfectionist and like an aspiring good enoughist. Definitely have suffered from wanting something to be specialer than special and needing it to be not just good, but like the best anybody's ever seen ever with anything. And that can be a lot of pressure. And also, it's hard to leave that to somebody else to do. And so I think accepting that as long as you've chosen well and have great people around you, that they may not do it to your standards, but they're going to do it to a high standard that I can live with most of the time, or else I'll sneak in the middle of the night and change it. But not really. I try not to do that as much anymore. But also, I think because so much of what I do revolves around play, none of it feels like work. Someone once said that I worked both more and less than anyone they knew.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm always working and I'm never working. It's all very holistically a part of who I am all the time.
I love that. For anyone listening or who knows you, they know that you have an incredible energy, enthusiasm, passion, drive, and creativity that just spans everything you do. And you've had lasting power. I think just it feels like you've been able to adapt to change in so many senses of the word, right? Like technology changes how the world is changing, trends and getting on top of trends. How have you developed resilience to change and the ability to adapt?
Again, I got to give props to ADHD. I think it really is just that object impermanence thing. I have really am able to, you wind me up and you point me in a direction and that's the direction I'm going in. I for better or worse, I was in New York for 30 years and I moved to the Bay Area through almost 3 years ago. And my life in New York feels like a dream. I hardly remember it at all. It's as if I've always been here doing this. And I think I have pivoted and made major life changes many, many, many times.
Yeah.
And the key is, I think, just, sort of really, as Northern California as it sounds, like kind of the be here now thing of like, this is what I'm focusing on today. And so everything else falls away.
Yeah. And you became a parent in the last few years as well. How has that added to your ampersand and changed the way that you are thinking about your life? Big question, I know.
Yeah, I never planned on being a parent. I adopted a teenager 3 years ago. Also a perfect example of sort of an impulsive, my decisions aren't impulsive, like, woo, I'm not thinking this through. I'm just going to do it. It's more like when we found our space for the Shuffleboard Club, I knew immediately. We didn't have a business plan or any money raised or anything, but we walked into the space and I was like, okay, if we're doing this, we have to take this space. And if we don't take this space, we're not doing this. I just knew. And moving to the Bay Area. And same with my son, I was helping out a friend who was part of an organization and they needed a couple of people. They'd run out, they'd lost some people who were taking these kids. And I was just supposed to have him for 5 weeks. And he arrived at 6:30 in the morning. And by 7:30, I was like, all right, send me the paperwork. I'm keeping this one. Like, when I know, I know.
You're all in.
Yeah. And it take a long time. I mean, I lived for 30 years in New York without it ever occurring to me to move anywhere else. And somebody said to me, they were in the Bay Area and I said, how is it? And they said, I have found a welcomingness and an intellectual curiosity here that I never encountered in New York. And I thought, well, that sounds good. Should I move to the Bay Area? And then within 15 minutes, I was like, yeah, I'm going to move to the Bay Area. And that was it. I knew, and I was in May, and by July 1st, I was here. And now I'm talking to you.
Yes. One goal we have with this podcast is really to co-create the Ampersand Manifesto together. And when I think of the manifesto, I think of principles for leading a multi-passionate life. What are some principles that you live by?
Oh, well, I say yes to anything I can say yes to. It's how I ended up, beware, because that's how I ended up the proud owner of a 16-year-old. But I really try to trust the map and say yes to the things that come in front of me, whatever those things end up being. And some of them feel totally random, but I really do believe in my own luck. And so I am willing to put myself in places where that luck can manifest. And whether that means making a new friend or learning something new or hearing about something that might become my next favorite thing, I just try to say yes to as many things as I can.
I love that. Bertie, it's been incredible talking with you. You are an inspiration. Folks, you can check out Ashley Albert's work at ashleyalbert.com, and we'll link to this in the show notes. If you liked this show, share it with your friends and fellow ampersands, and make sure to hit the follow button to be notified when new episodes drop. It would mean the world to us if you took 2 minutes to rate and review the show. Just go to the main show page on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and look for the stars. I had a chance to listen back to my conversation with Bertie, and I wanted to share a few key takeaways. 1, there's something magical about starting things by accident. I have experienced this in my own life. Last year, I was walking my dog on a Friday afternoon and ran into a group of people playing and singing bluegrass. What started as a simple dog walk became me first trying to harmonize with them and then realizing I could dust off my violin from high school and call it a fiddle. So then I learned a bunch of songs in a style I never thought I'd be into. And now I'm jamming on my fiddle with my husband at the banjo. Now, this was such a happy accident. And the key to these happy accidents is to stay open and to say yes, something Bertie is really good at. 2, knowing yourself. Bertie discovered later in life that she has ADHD, and she knows herself well enough to know how to get the best out of her amazing brain. There's something in here about the special combination of knowing what you're good at and what you're not, and using ADHD as a superpower. This isn't the first time ADHD has been talked about on the Ampersand Manifesto. And each time we talk about it, it's been about discovery, harnessing the power of your brain, learning more about yourself, and also allowing these many interests to flourish in their own way or not. 3, be here now. Accept change and find the best in your current reality. So many examples in Bertie's work and life center around a knowing of what's right for right now. I admire her decisiveness and listening to her intuition. I think to be able to do that, you must have strong values and a strong sense of knowing yourself.
So I always had some sort of business going on or some sort of invention. I'm pretty sure that I invented Amazon.